Hosted in conjunction with Chris Media, the CEO interview series allows investors to hear directly from the CEOs leading the companies featured on Wholesale Investor. Enjoy the interview and reach out via the details in the description.
Hi and welcome to another Crisp TV Q&A. Today I'm joined by the founder of NoBNK, Paul Boyd-Skinner. Thank you for joining Crisp TV, Paul.
It's a pleasure to be here, Sydney. Thank you so much.
Paul, look, obviously this is a first time we've spoken on the channel. So just to inform our audience members, can you tell us, set us on the correct course today? Who exactly is NoBNK? What do you guys do?
It's interesting that you say NoBNK because it's NoBNK. And it's a little bit, the reason why we've done that is obviously because we do non-bank lending. But NoBNK basically is a non-bank business and commercial finance facilitator. Mm-hmm. And we've created a platform where it's a decentralised peer-to-peer system. I don't require a managed fund or a pool investment or a bank to decide the transaction. So the transaction is decided between a borrower and a lender, and those lenders are high net worth investors that we actually teach to become the bank.
Tell me about this peer-to-peer system model, Paul, because it's obviously becoming more and more popular with the onset of new technologies as well, to remove those intermediaries. Why is a peer-to-peer network better, and what benefits does it offer to the end consumer?
Our peer-to-peer is a little bit different. So what it's done is it's created a whole new investment class for, sophisticated or high net worth investor. Mm-hmm. As I said, our platform is designed to teach them to become a bank. And mm-hmm. So we're not matching a borrower to another lender where everybody has access to those lenders out there. Mm-hmm. The investors follow our system, and through that system, we're transferring accurate information from someone who wants to borrow money to someone who wants to lend it. And the reason why peer-to-peer is important is, and the way that we're doing it is it cuts out the middleman. So what we're doing with these investors is it operates under a blind auction process. So they decide what sort of return they want. So they physically become the lender and they decide what sort of return they want. And providing the borrower agrees with it, then that's the return they're going to get. So there's nobody that's clipping the ticket on the interest. It's a direct peer-to-peer, and that creates the decentralized market because there's no central control point in the middle.
And that decentralized element's obviously very important, and it's something that people are kind of demanding in the market now that it's possible, right? And there's become this new fascination with a more decentralized approach to these institutional sectors. So congratulations on actually providing a solution on that. So let's talk about the problem for a second that you identified in the market that motivated you to create this, to start this venture. Paul, can you give us more about that moment? Can you detail that for us?
Yeah, so the market that we predominantly specialise in is SMEs. And in the finance world, that's considered non-code lending, because it's for business purposes only. Mm-hmm. A sector of that market is private lending or hard money loans if you're in places like America. And that market is a very incestuous market, and it's very set in its ways where, it's much more expensive. They charge a lot of fees, and they all seem to follow each other. So what we've done here is we've created a dynamic market. So it's not set in its ways. The market sets itself from deal to deal. So at the moment, somebody might ring me up and they'll say, "Paul, I need a loan. I need to sell it by next week, and I need $1 million." We go through the whole process, and that might be a lender that charges 9%, and that's all I have to offer. But in this system that we've created now, that market will, as I said, it will just set itself by the second. So it's sort of a bit of a disruptor to that industry that's been set in its ways for at least 50 years.
Absolutely. Tell us about the technological. Is there a technological play or solution behind this that's supporting the infrastructure? Or let's just talk about the solution in general. Give us a bit of a deep dive into the insides of NoBNK, if that's okay with you.
Yeah, so I started in this market in 2003, and and really focused on non-bank lending. So just to give you an example, I've never put anybody with a bank. And that is mainly because they seem to, no disrespect to banks, it's the way they do business. They might have your home loan and then they might have equipment finance with you and something else and something else. And what my thoughts were is that I think the businesses need to separate business from personal. Personal, have your personal banking over here, have your business loans and banking in all separate little parts of the industry. So if you want equipment finance, then we put you with somebody that just does equipment finance. So that was sort of the sector that I started to niche in back then. And this private lending component was, there was a lot of lenders in there that were doing the wrong thing by investors. There was a lot of mixed funds that collapsed around about that time. And I noticed that there was that problem in the market was because of that control point. So what my thought is that who do you trust more than anybody else in the world to make the right finance decision by you? And the answer is yourself. So why do we give that trust away? So what I thought is, how do I create a system where we put the trust back into your hands? We give you the security as well. So, you physically control that security and you have choices in what you want to invest in. So it's not just this blanket policy when you go to a managed fund or somebody like that or a bank where they decide what you invest in. This way you decide what to invest in. So that's why I created the system.
Excellent. Tell us about how it's differentiated from other competitors, both, I guess, more closer competitors in this peer-to-peer space. What do you think the differentiating factors or the moats are that you have that'll protect you from competition now and in the long term?
Well, the reason why I call it decentralised is it's one loan, one lender, one loan, one lender, where a lot of peer-to-peer platforms is still a pooled investment. So if you only want to go in at a lower level, you can go in at a lower level and they will put you in a unit trust or whatever it is. And then all those investors go into that one loan. So what we're saying here is that we're taking all that control point out and the deal is struck between yourself and the borrower. So if you're the high net worth investor, you tell us what sort of return you want, and we do that via a blind auction process on an app. So you have a shot at bidding for what sort of return you want to be the bank on that deal. And if the borrower agrees with it, that's what you're going to get. So we're like I said before, we're facilitating the accurate information from somebody who wants to borrow money to someone who wants to lend it. And we're just putting those two together via our process. And we make that process really easy because we've been doing this process for 16 years now. So I have some high net worths that I've been doing this system with. And in that time, we've had no loss of investor capital and no foreclosure.
Okay, understood. Now tell us a bit about your past, Paul, or anyone who's involved in this project beyond yourself, the skills and experience you have and what you bring to the table, and why you're the one to take this to the market and to grow it to where you want to get to.
So my background is a mechanical engineer. So engineers, I guess, look at things differently. I don't know if you've spoken to engineers before, but they see things differently. Mm-hmm. Yes. And besides inventing something new, one of the things that I learned as an apprentice was you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can just make it work better.
Yep.
And after being in that industry for around about 20 years, I flipped over into finance. And when I come into finance, I realized that there were some things in there that needed to be changed and things that could work better. And this was one of the ideas that I had many years ago, but the market wasn't ready for it. And now I see it more ready than ever because I'm Generation X, and then you have baby boomers and you have builders. And we were all brought up as savers. So back when I was a young bloke, when I was an apprentice, you were getting 15 and 16% on your money just by keeping it in the bank. So it made sense to put your money in the bank and save for retirement. Today, with where interest rates are and returns on what you get in the bank, it's below 2%. It's below 1% in some instances. So it's sort of loud and clear that they don't want us to save anymore. So what my thoughts are is that if I teach you to become the bank, then you get the benefit of that direct investment and that direct return on your investment from the person who's borrowing the money. So we cut out the middleman, so instead of, you keep your money in your bank under your control. So the big thing about our system is we do not touch your money. You leave it in the bank. As the deals come through, you have a right to bid for your return on them. And if you win all that, and we do all the due diligence and everything goes nicely and the loan settles, your name goes on the title as the lender, and you are paid monthly returns in advance directly from the borrower. So we still need the bank for your returns to go back through. So I'm not trying to take the bank out of the equation entirely. I'm just trying to help them with one of their problems at the moment is they really don't want us to save.
Paul, a bit of a parting question just to cap us off today. We're going to put this out to our network, and they'll be obviously have their own questions. But who do you want to speak to, and what do you want to speak about once we put this out to our network?
Well, see, we're not trying to raise money for this company. That's one aspect of it that we'll do a little bit later when we upgrade the tech. We already have all this tech built. But the people that I'm looking for at the moment is somebody who doesn't really want their world to change as far as giving that control away. Like, here's my money, please go off and invest it and promise me that you'll give it back. We're after people that are high net worth investors or sophisticated investors, have their money sitting in the bank under their control. They can list onto our platform for free. Our platform will teach them how to become a lender. All the work is done for them. All they have to do is decide what deals they want to go into, what deals they'd like to be the lender on, and what sort of return they want, and our platform will do the rest for them. So I'm looking for those investors through your network that are looking for a new investment class that they may not have had the opportunity to be involved in before.
Excellent. Well, for those who are interested, we will have the details to the deal room to reach out to Paul to ask further questions. And Paul, I'm sure you'd be happy to have those conversations. And thank you so much for joining me today. And best of luck with the business. And I look forward to catching up in a few months' time.
Thanks so much, Sydney, and thanks very much to Wholesale Investor. You guys are wonderful.
Thanks, Paul.